Okay, let's see. All right, we're gonna see what I'm gonna do. Hello, everyone. We're back again. I'm gonna take a look on my phone and see how bad or not bad this uh, quality is. I changed some settings around. Hopefully, it should not be as bad this time around. Let's take a look here. Actually, what I should be able to do here is I'm just gonna open up the stream on another tab. See if it looks all right. Way better now? Yeah. Sorry about that, everyone. Uh, okay. Should be okay. I'm gonna check on my end. Yeah. I'm just gonna restart the rec here. But I want to make sure everything. All right, hold on. Also, I forgot to mention, Hydur needs to drink more. I know spoilers. Yeah, you can't. Don't worry. That's because I'm zoomed in right now. Let me. Oh, wait a second. Did I? Did I? Oh. Oh, I see what I did. Okay, hold on. I need to. I think I accidentally shrank the image here, so I gotta hold on. I got to readjust this. Yeah, the good thing I checked. Yeah, hold on a second. All right, so now you should be able to see. Make sure that I'm going to double check on the screen that actually shows up everything at once here. Jump to live here. Okay. All right, now you should have the full screen. Okay, that looks good. All right. Okay, I think we're all sorted. And then to remind you all, let's see if my command actually works or if it's not going to. Oh, okay, there it is. So we still have signups open. I believe they close tomorrow. You can confirm for that for me, Tech, but I believe they close tomorrow. So, but they're still open for right now. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. We'll go ahead and restart that game. So, I'm going to make sure everything's sorted. I don't have everything wrong. Yeah, there were too many issues with casting it live. I don't know what, like, you should just, I think you should just play the games and I'll catch up when I have a chance because it just was not working. Like, I tried everything and the game just did not want to work. No, that wasn't the problem. Yeah, okay, they do close tomorrow. It just, like, there was something wrong with transferring the game. Like, I could find the lobby, that wasn't the issue. But the map just would not transfer to me. I even tried putting the script in manually. It just didn't work, so. Yeah, no, that lobby wasn't an issue. I could find it. I could find the lobby. That was not the issue at all. I guess the spec dashboard might work. It's sort of a good point. But we'll start with this first game, and we'll go from there. I don't think I can cast live though. It's just causing too many issues for me. For right now, though, I'm gonna just focus on this game because we've been waffling around for long enough. And I'll go ahead and remind everyone that we're on Prairie, right? As I was saying, a very open map. We have the Inca versus the Maya. And I would say this is, in general, a pretty bad matchup for the Mayans, for the Maya here. As in most cases, they want to get into their archery units. And the Inca are very good at making the clear counter to that, which is skirmishers, because they have a reduced cost on them. And it leads to an awkward situation where the Inca could just make more skirmishers than you can, and then if you're on skirmishers, you can't be as productive. You spent the first 5 minutes thinking Otter lamed you? You just didn't find your goods? Let's see. Yeah, your deers are here in the middle too. You could. It's actually could be a lot of potential for aggression, especially with the eagles here. So you have your other eagles around somewhere. Also, I gotta remember, I'll try not to move the screen around so much. It's usually a little nicer with capture age when the zooming is a little smoother. But Hydur here has found a lone eagle. Is gonna get some hits. Not gonna do too much damage though. Otter just pushing in this other deer here. And taking a wood line. As you can see, this wood line's pretty thin. I'm expecting that we're going to see a lot of fighting around this sort of region. We do have chickens for both players, I assume. Yep, both players have chickens. It is true that you know, Otter kind of has a nicer eco bonus, at least for the Dark Age speaking, right? Because your resources last longer, whereas the Inca don't have a feature like that. Their main bonus is, it's kind of like the Byzantines, right? Their sort of main bonus is really going to come into effect in Feudal Age, when they can produce a lot more military than their opponent. But, you know, it's possible that, like, thanks to like having a little bit longer lasting on all your food sources here, you could have a slightly nicer just beginning of Feudal Age for Otter here. We'll see how it plays out. I almost wonder if maybe you can just go full eagles as the Maya here. The awkward thing is, again, like, the Inca can just make more eagles than you can. So either way, I think it's kind of an awkward setup for them. But maybe you do like a man-at-arms opening, and then you could have some opportunity there. We'll see what Otter decides to do. Yeah, it plays out very aggressively with the double scouts. Especially, I think, having two eagles is especially good, right? They're stronger in Dark Age. You can heal them up too if you have some damage. And if you're up against a scout civ, they could face a lot of trouble. Because, yeah, here's the engagement we saw earlier. So Otter is going to get this Vill away, and Hydur takes a lot of damage, takes some TC fire. Now this is unfortunate, I would say, but it's not horrendous, especially if we're able to heal up the eagle. But of course, right, if Hydur takes a fight here, you're just going to lose, so you don't want to. I think, oh, is that one hit away? We don't have any melee armor, so that should be an instant kill, but we don't find it. And we're just long distance taking the chickens here for Otter. Let's see, we're up to taking a look at the res count. Probably click up to feudal pretty soon for both players. There's no boars on this map, so you can't get up as quickly as you might on a different map. Actually, 4 villagers for Hydur. It's a little more than usual. But that's maybe because of the... Well, you don't usually need it for a mill, so I'm not sure. And, ooh. I think that's actually fine for Otter. We didn't take any TC fire, and we're actually, like, pause some healing time on the eagle there. Ooh. Actually, Otter gets through. Might get a Vill kill, which would be really nice. Is blocking... okay, yeah. We don't want to take too much damage on our eagles. I think that's fine. Might be able to pick up that Vill later if it's left out. Okay, actually, we're going to see a man-at-arms opening. So this is really nice for Otter to scout this as well. I don't think we're going... Yeah, we're not going man-at-arms for ourselves. Oh, uh-oh. Did we notice this? Militia come forward. Now, I believe militia don't actually have a bonus against eagles yet. I think it's only man-at-arms upwards. Pathing. Big pathing moment on that one. It's not too bad for us, though. I mean, again, like, Hydur's other eagles, pretty low HP still. But this could be a pretty nasty timing. We're going to hit Feudal Age pretty soon. We're actually going to be a little bit behind for Otter as well. We probably want to wall in. Yeah, we need to wall this up. A couple militia out. I don't know if Otter did that specifically just to deal with the militia and wasn't planning on it. I think it's probably a little worse for Otter though, because these are cheaper, and Hydur already got some damage on the Eagles. But we're into Feudal Age, and we are getting Man-at-Arms upgrade. Otter's not too far behind. We will have more military for Otter, but there's a lot of low HP units, so how this engagement turns out, well, that's not great. You have the Eagle taking damage, but oh, it actually doesn't get a kill. And we actually, okay, we are going to go Man-at-Arms, and we're dropping a tower. I like that. We know that this is going to get repeatedly. Oh, I don't like taking an engagement before Man-at-Arms comes in. Gave me a little first for Hydur. We're getting a range up. Okay, range and blacksmith up for Hydur already, so it's going to be a pretty brutal timing. The food count is also pretty low for Otter. We need to get some farms down, but we're microing a lot over here. On the other side for Hydur, yeah, okay, we also need some farms ourselves. We don't have the wood for it because we spent it on the range and blacksmith. I also don't know if it's worth because we can't even click like fletching or anything just yet. It may have been more worth just to add some more farms. Couple of archers forward for purple. Actually missed the Man-at-Arms there. Man-at-Arms, they could hit the wood line here actually. This is like open. And this tower's pretty safe, but this wood line is still going to be exposed. But you could wall up between the wood lines here for Otter. We'll see if he thinks about that. And I wonder if Hydur's just not going to tower. If you can get away without doing it, that would be nice, but we'll see. A couple Man-at-Arms here. Let's see. The military, yeah, the military is pretty even actually for both players. Getting onto farms now for both players, yeah. Archers coming in. Okay, yeah, so we could sweep around and actually find some damage here. Oh, but Otter comes in. Does Hydur notice? And there's a house in the way. We could find a pick. Ooh. If only they had this low villager. Okay, they might get this villager. Okay. Okay, they do get a kill, but they get collapsed on by the villagers, and... Okay, I think that's worth it. But on the other side, though, Otter is not reacting because we were microing on the other side. We lost a vill ourselves, and we get pulled away. Ooh, and we... Okay, we might lose the Man-at-Arms for Hydur, though. We're gonna lose another villager, though, so it's not ideal. But the vill count's still pretty even. Oh, okay, and we came back here. I think no fletching in? Yeah, no fletching in yet. And we're gonna build a tower now. Yeah, that's unfortunate. You know, if you're gonna build a tower anyway, you'd rather get it as soon as possible, right? Because that would mitigate the amount of damage. Might just cancel that now, actually. No fletching for either player, actually. We've kind of been strapped for resources quite a bit. And, okay, we're just gonna leave the tower there for now. Might come back to that at some point. And Archer gets picked off. Now, on the bright side for Otter is that we are actually really good at massing up archers. The discount is quite nice, and there is actually no discount for the Incas here because their discount is for food units. And archers do not cost any food. We are up to 7 archers, 7 versus 4. Fletching coming in now for Otter. Fletching is in for Hydur though. Ooh. This actually could be really dangerous for us. Yeah, on a map like this, when you fall behind in military count, it can spiral pretty quickly. And we're gonna wall up to the map, edge of the map, but that means we need to wall up here too. I think I might prefer a wall here between these, but I mean, there's trade-offs, I think. Okay, gonna go again underneath the tower here. Nice garrison. Okay, don't lose too much. Villager count is actually a little bit ahead for Otter. But the farm count is up to... It's pretty even, actually, about like 13 or 14 for both players. And we did finish the tower. I mean, that's kind of sad. I feel like it's gonna kind of get in the way of your vill efficiency, but it's... I mean, it's okay. It's nice to have. And it does, like, sort of protect your gold, too, right? Okay, now we're taking into skirms. We're getting the archer armor. I wonder if maybe Otter should just go forward with these archers at this point. If we think about we're going to use skirms to protect and just wall up, we'd like to find some damage, right? And Hydur's still open on this side. You could even, I mean, I know there's a tower in the way, but you could do some damage here on the farms. Hydur coming in. Gonna pick off this Vil, I think. Oh, yep, that Vil is dead. And you could actually sit on this wood line, or behind this wood line. And we're just gonna dive under the tower, wow. Yeah. Otter was not quite there. And the skirm count is not there yet either. And the archers are sort of out of position. Ooh, we're gonna take some more damage here. Yeah, we're gonna lose our skirms. So this is what, 9 to 7? Oh yeah, we have armor and fletching for both, so the upgrades are even. And we take this nice hill. Should work out for Otter though. The one skirm's gonna put in a lot of work. Actually, yeah, I think we got a little bit of downhill hits for Hydur there, so it worked out a little bit better for him. I have a soothing voice. Thank you, thank you. I think T West is from, I think he's from New Jersey or he lives there, which I'm not from, but I'm from nearby, like on the eastern coast. And the GG is called, yeah, this is a very aggressive map here. And you can see how things spiral very, very quickly. You know, all it takes, right, is there's a few like lost archers here, a little bit of inefficiency. Hydur took a few better engagements, and now Otter's really far behind because we don't have any military to defend this. So this is like the double-edged sword of this tower, right? It protects our gold, but it doesn't protect the wood line. I mean, yeah, the only thing you need to do with that is have more skirms, but hard to say, right? But yeah, fun game one. Glad I got to cast it eventually. So let me see, do the folks go ahead? I think they probably went ahead to play. Yeah, okay, so I will try. We'll try. Maybe for some reason this other map works. I'm not sure. But it's loser's pick, so that means Otter gets to pick which map is next. The rules? So the rules are it's a play all 5, and I decided the game 1 would be Prairie. And oh, actually, you know what? We can take a moment here. Let's take a look at the drafts here. That's the wrong thing. That's that's the stream. So, oh yeah, sorry, I gotta readjust this. Hold on. Sorry, folks. So it's a play all 5. Game 1 is Prairie, and then losers pick. And I picked particular maps. I wanted to give, I think I wanted like to show at least one from each creator, and I wanted a variety. There are a lot of hybrid maps, so I tried to get the one open map, Prairie, the one closed map, which was Moats, and then a few of the unusual hybrid maps. And then we had a Civ draft for it. So there were 2 bans each for each player, and then we had 7 Civ picks in total, so you have 2 extra. And the host got to pick first, and then the guest picks 2, and then it alternates with 2 picks, and then the guest gets the last pick. So we saw Inca there taking the victory, and a loss for the Maya. I think that's also like a really tough matchup for the Maya there. You could maybe, like, probably your best odds is you survive into the Castle Age and go for some kind of crossbow timing, but I think it's just very hard to play, especially on an aggressive map like that. So yeah, that's the draft. So I'm gonna try something here. And I'll try it on a different browser so I don't interfere. You folks can keep an eye on this. And let me see here. See if maybe, I don't think, there's something wrong with the way that the lobby system loads up the map, and I don't know why. I haven't had a problem like that before, but I do usually cast Rex as well, so I guess it makes sense that for some reason something weird happened. Who knows, right? Alright, let me see here. So we're going to see if I can get this up. And if it doesn't work, I'll go ahead and take a look at the maps again, because I only got to go through Prairie. Okay, so we're going to play on Graveyard, which actually was showing earlier, but we can get back into. And Alright, here. So we'll try to see if I can get in this, but I think it's just going to cause me more problems because who knows? I don't know why. There's always going to be some problems. Alright, let's see. We'll see. We'll see if it wants to download properly this time, but... Yeah, it's going to... Yeah, it just throws me another error. But we can go ahead and take a look at the map while we're here. And let me see here. I know I'm not showing anything yet, folks. Don't worry. I'm aware. We'll get into that. Need to pull up the map here. Ooh, that's the wrong thing. Okay, yep. So, I think I need to ESR. Hold on, I gotta reload this real quick. So, we're taking a look at graveyards. I was looking for an E. So, like I said, I was looking at this map earlier, and it does have a little bit of water here in the center. And, oh right, nope, I remember this time. I gotta switch my scene here. I remember this time. Here we go. Okay, good. Now everyone can actually see this. Excellent. So, as I was saying, we have in here a small little pond. Has a little bit of oysters, which is gold. Villagers can collect from it, but because in this setup it's too far away from the shoreline, you have to use fishing ships. And of course we also have some nice fish. Not a lot, but a decent amount. And the rest of the map is pretty open, quite hilly. You can see these nice clumps of trees. You have the graveyards in question with some relics and the ruined monasteries. And what's interesting as well is your starting location is lower than these sort of sections. I don't see... It's not like super prime for like a 4 Siege workshop in Holding the Hill because it's... I mean, you could like hit a woodline, which can be nice, but it's not like a hill right next to your TC, for example, which sometimes you can get in like the latter Arabia. You can end up to situations where your TC is very inconvenient because, you know, you can get a mangonel out and just start sieging away if you get a 4 Siege workshop, and it can be really hard to deal with. So you can sort of see that there are sort of parts in Castle Age where you'd expect when you're expanding out, you want to try and take control of these hills. It can get you some minerals, get you a relic, and it can be a really difficult position to fight back on. There are also a number of different seasons and like biomes represented here. Very nice looking map. Most of these maps, they look quite nice, I would say. I think that's a, you know, specific effort that we usually tend to go for. We want them to look nice as well. Unfortunately, not all players get the same experience because they have a more competitive spirit, so they have mods that kind of change the look, shall we say, of things. Yeah, this is featuring the nice new trees here. I would like to... I remember there's a few of my old maps I probably want to add some new biomes, some variants with these new trees. They look very nice. They actually look a little weirdly blown out here. I don't know. I think they don't usually look at this saturated, but maybe... I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. Also, something interesting, and I was testing this. I think you have to put the dock like pretty... Yeah. So you actually have to go downhill here to place the dock, which is interesting. So another interesting thing as well, I want to take a look here to confirm this. Oh no, okay, you can't place there. All right. I was wondering if you couldn't wall in your villager to defend them, but you can. Okay. So yeah, actually, this is kind of that reminds me of Kawasan. So in Kawasan, you have two like pawns. Like it would be one here, one here, and it's also like downhill. Like the pond is a lower elevation, which is it can be interesting because um, when you are working on like building, right? You sort of have your village over here. You have to be careful about the enemy scout sniping it, especially because you typically skip loom if you can. And especially if you get a downhill hit from a scout, that can be extra deadly for you. So something to keep in mind. But usually what you'll see is players will palisade wall them in. You also probably go forward with a scout as well, just to protect your own villager. And you never know, maybe you can pick up the enemy villager. We'll see. Looks like, yeah, I mean, you could probably just go forward with your scout, though. You don't need to scout too far forward to get your sheep and boars. So, you know, you could probably afford to send your scout forward. You might, it's pretty far away, but you might push like one or two deer. Personally, on a hybrid map, I mean, the uptime can be really important, but I personally prefer getting the scouting in. It could be really useful. It's important as well to scout like the follow up, like what kind of land military your opponent's going to go for. I would expect quite a bit of fighting here on the water, but not like a lot. There's a limited amount of resources here, and you don't want to invest too much. But it is like actually quite nice for map control. There's some hut around the middle. And it's probably a little easier to expand with TCs here as well. You can see there's not a lot of nice flat terrain. It's a little more awkward to place TCs on the edges because of all of this hilly like elevation. And like you might want to put one here, for example, or like here, but you want to expand, right? Especially as the game goes later and later. So this could actually be nice for some map control as well. But I don't expect too much scuffling there. This is the winter sort of setup. Some nice ice. Actually, it looks like the dock is... Is it a little harder to place on this one? No, okay, it's the same. Okay, yeah, so it's the same. It just looks different. We're going to make sure on that one. But yeah, so this is a snowy biome. And... yeah. Nice looking map. I would expect... I'm going to take a quick look at their civs there. So Hydur has... actually, I can show you all as well. So this is their map that they're going to play next. Or they're playing right now, really. So I would probably expect maybe Persians. Persians is like the obvious pick on a hybrid setting for Hydur. And if you imagine your opponent's picking Persians, Otter might go for Lithuanians. Because they start with an extra 100 food, they can get to the dock faster. Maybe not faster than the Persians, because the Persians also start with extra wood. But wood and food, that is. But, it's a nice feature on a hybrid map. And then you probably go for some aggression. Try and get the relics in Castle Age, and you can have some really strong knights. And the Persians do have camels, but you could maybe find a timing there. You can overwhelm them with your stronger military. Depending. You could have a timing there. I'm not sure what else. I guess you could also play Georgians. I think Georgians would be fine. Could also play Hindustanis as well, if you wanted to play towards a longer game. I think Otter's expecting he's a little bit of the underdog in this situation, though. So in most cases in that situation, you want to play more aggressively and play for a sharper timing instead of playing to a longer term situation. We can go ahead and take a look. Let's take a look. Actually, you know what? I'll show off my map that I made. I can make sure I get the right version though. I didn't actually pick my map for this show match because there's already quite a bit of hybrid hybrid maps, and I think the other ones are just a little bit like different, I would say, than other sort of maps. So I wanted to show off kind of some of the more unusual types of maps that we try out. So let's go ahead and pull up ESR seasons here. There's E. I got way too many maps here. I have to I have to cull down some of these at some point. All right. Yes. So as you can see, this is the main sort of feature of the map. You have a big river which divides all players. I'll show real quick, like, for example, so this is a free-for-all setting for 4 players. So you can see how, like, each player will have their own, like, slice, you could call it, right? If it's a team game setting, you're on the same slice as your teammates. But here in a 1v1, it's just a single river that cuts through the map. And there are several different seasons. So there's one for summer, autumn, spring, and winter. Well, there's actually 2 for winter. We see here, this is like the harsh winter, where the river has frozen over completely. There's just a few shorefish, and there's no like docking capability. So this is mainly, well, it has the relics, for example, so that can be valuable. But the sort of main thing, of course, is you can't wall this off. So you have to play towards army to deal with that. And this is the spring. So you can see how, like, there's still a little bit of snow around. It's kind of like things are starting to thaw out, but it's still a little chilly. And because of that, we still have an ice crossing. But unlike the light winter, you can see that you can actually traverse this with ships. So it plays out a little bit differently because when you dock here, you can still send Navy over to this side here. But the crossing is pretty large as well. And again, you can't like wall this off fully. So, you know, the Navy can be important for controlling this section. You also could try to look for some kind of forward, right? Especially if you think you're going to lose water. If you can sneak a Vil behind here, set up a workshop, especially if your opponent hasn't scouted it and they're not super vigilant. Like when they've taken up the water, they can still lose because they are not attentive and you play for, like, you know, maybe a siege push or something like that. But yeah, I expect the water to be pretty important, but it's less important in some generations than others, or at least I expect it to play out differently. This is a spring one again. This is the harsh winter again. This is the light winter. So similar to spring, right? But the main difference is that this water is not traversable. So you cannot send Navy either way. So you have to pick if you're like, for example, Byzantines, you probably maybe want to delay your dock actually and scout, if you can, scout like where your opponent docks, and then you can dock that side. Also be good to scout like which side has more like space. So this side is a little bit better than docking here because there's just more fish. But for the same reason, this could be more secure. Like maybe if you dock here, you don't have to actually build any Navy at all if you can get away with it. If you're like vision, maybe like 1 galley to prevent a dock, and then you dock your opponent's side. So that could be something interesting to work with. And then we have summer. So summer, there's no ice or anything like that. The river here is the shallows, so this is crossable by Navy and land units. So water is still important, Navy is still important, but it's not as important because, or at least it'll play out differently. Because let's say, you know, you set up a bunch of Navy, you win, you have double dock, maybe even to triple dock, and you take control. Well, that's great. You have a lot of fish. You have a lot of map control. However, like, even if you have a lot of Navy, it's kind of nigh impossible to really stop a crossing, right? Like, even in the case, if you have like 50 galleys, like, they cannot be all in the same spot. So if your opponent just sort of sends, like, I don't know, 20 knights or 10 villagers or something, right? If they send enough, there's no way you can stop all of them from crossing. Like a single demo, though, actually, I guess that's the one caveat. A single demo could kill a lot of units all at once. That's probably the biggest threat on this map. Or sorry, this gen in particular I'm thinking of, like the summer settings. Um, but of course, your demo has to be in the right spot. So I think this kind of gen is like it's where you have to be the most cautious about a forward. So you can get a lot of nice fish, but then you lose the water. But it's not as bad to get a forward over, and then you can get much more. You can get a better timing. You invested less in the water, and you could definitely make something happen with that. Another interesting thing about that is because this gen is possible, you have to be careful about picking something like Koreans, for example. Koreans are a great hybrid civ. They have a yeah, demo is a really big threat. Like so the Koreans are a great hybrid civ, right? They have discounted fires. They have the towers, which can be quite good. However, they have no demo ships, and not having demo ships can be a big deal in such a tight area like this because one, if it's like a big fire battle, you don't have demos to try and come back. Also, you cannot threaten crossing units as well. But, if we think about it, right, like Koreans are going to be quite nice on a map like this, right? Where, maybe you could tower, like, for example, the shoreline here. It won't cover, like, the whole space, but it could be a nice position to hold. And it's like, you imagine because it's cut off and because you can't cross anywhere, Koreans could be a little bit better here. But you have to be careful because you never know if you end up on the summer gen and things could be a little worse for you. And then here's the last one. This is the autumn setting. So on this one, there is actually no crossing at all. So it's all water. Now, a map like this can lead to kind of stalemate situations, but there's a few important features. One is the fact that we are a standard map. So there's no like relics in the middle. Like you have relics on each side, but you can sort of work to cross over. Like maybe you sneak over, for example, steal a relic, and then, or you could go for like, I don't expect a wonder victory in that situation, but you could try it. Like that is something to try and put pressure on your opponent if that's a concern. But it's also like only one out of, was that 6 total? It's like what, summer, autumn, spring. Yeah, two. Sorry, 1 out of 5, I should say. But yeah, I think I'm curious to see how this one will play out. I think the main feature, right, is the fact that like each different season is significantly different. I mean, of course, right, it's this similar sort of setup, right, but it's going to play out a little bit differently. The fact that the spring you can pass through the ice, and the light winter one you can't. So like any map I make, I'll be very curious to see how players play it out. I will not be playing in this particular season. I just don't have the time, unfortunately. But I hope people enjoy the map. I'm actually going to take a moment here. I'm just checking. I think they haven't played. Yeah, the wonder. I think it really helps in a map like this. The fact that it's standard victory, where things could be stalematy. Not in like gen like this, but maybe in the autumn gen. The fact that you can go for a wonder victory or a relic victory gives you some ability to like avoid a stalemate situation, right? Especially if like your civ has very little options to deal with. I'm gonna take a moment, folks, just to grab some water. I've been doing a lot of talking here. I'll be back just a moment, but you all can enjoy. Let's see. Let's find. Enjoy the nice summer. This is where we're at right now. You can imagine the weather is kind of like this would be right now. I'll just be back one moment, folks. Alright, everyone, I'm back. It's gonna make many people mad. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, it's kind of in the name. And if you look at the gens, I mean, yeah, and the specification as well does explain in detail, or enough detail, like all the different gens. I anticipate there are going to be people that are going to complain anyway because they don't look at the handbook. But that's kind of like only so much you can do, right? But I think like the different gens are not so crazily different that like you can't plan around them at all. Maybe, you know, some players have a bit of a different perspective on renowned not to be handbook readers. I know they're not renowned, but you know, there's only so much we can do, right? I mean, you could say maybe you just shouldn't make a map like this because players will not deal with it, but also I think that you don't, you know, you gotta draw a line somewhere, right? You don't want to limit your creativity too much just because people won't prepare for it. If they don't prepare for it, then that's kind of on them, right? I think you can plan around it, even though each gen could play out quite differently. But okay, what am I doing here? I have the map actually. I have the rec. So you folks can just go ahead and start with the next one, the next game. It's very unfortunate. I apologize, but thank you for bearing with me. Just go ahead and play all the games, and we'll follow ahead. Okay, but we do have Persians versus Georgians here. Kind of what I partly expected. Make sure I'm actually casting the game here. Okay, yes, I am good. Great. So, we have, once again, in the purple, Hydur with Persians. Blaming in the gold and berries. That's a very nice first pick. Maybe that's the first drunken move we're seeing. On the other side, we have in the yellow with the Georgians is Otter. So, what's quite nice about both of these civs is that they are very good at utilizing the hybrid situation because, for one, the Georgians, they start with a mule cart. So this sort of works as a lumber camp without having to build a lumber camp. Expecting Georgians and moats. Oh, interesting. Huh? Wow. Well, here you go. You're going to have to deal with them here. And on the other side, the Persians, they start with 50 food, 50 wood extra, you can see here. Actually, nice. I can show in the bonus. So, they both have a nice bonus to get to the dock earlier, which is very important because the sooner you can get a dock, the sooner you get to what are basically extra vills in a certain way, like kind of limited vills. And that can get you a better uptime, and a better uptime means you're faster to make out Navy. You had to ask Perez when you saw that house. Yeah, I mean... Well, you know, it's okay. I've done similar things. At least it doesn't get in the way of your farming space. You know, we'll say that much for you, at least, right? It could be worse if you think about it. There's penguins. Yeah, I was hearing a penguin earlier. Where? Oh, they're right here. Yeah. So yeah, some nice penguins here. Hydur's enjoying it. Otter on the other side is pulling in the other boar. I think we've got all of our sheep for both players already, yeah. Actually, Hydur hasn't pulled in a single boar yet, which is interesting. Typically, you want to, okay, there we go. You want to do that a little sooner, in my opinion, on water maps than other maps. You want to get the res as quickly as possible to get your uptime. And it's nice to save some herdables. Okay, interesting. It's nice to save some herdables as well. Makes your transition a little bit easier because typically you're going to skip the mill. Are there deer? I don't think there are on this map. I don't think there are, or at least not on this gen. Yeah, sometimes there can't. Okay, there are some here. There's not much here though. Yeah, I think in the, like one of the desert gens, you can see there was a little bit more hunt. And we're going to take a fight here. Now the Georgian scout does regen. So this is actually not great for Hydur, I would say. Like, unless you kill it. But you pull in towards the villagers, that's nice, but... Okay, you actually have slightly more HP, but it's still... You don't really want to fight too much. Don't expect orthodox build orders from you? Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you're right. I should have known from this first play that you like some things that are a little bit different. I also seem to like part of your build order is apparently being just kind of late to the next food source, but you know what? It's fine. It's fine. We're microing here. We're up to 21-21, so it's even. Again, that's actually better for the Georgian player because they regen. And both players are docking here. We have just one fishing ship for both players. We're actually gonna kill the penguins. Wow. That's bloodthirsty. Okay, we let that one live, but it has to think about what it did. Getting loom in. Probably after we drop off from this boar, we will click up pretty soon. Otter already took both boars. Houses that don't lame any resources. Very nice. Now, the one thing about this particular gen you can see is that we have shorefish instead of deep fish. So, fishing ships collect significantly faster. Slower, my bad, from shorefish than deep fish. Yeah, the region isn't nearly as good for the Georgians anymore, but it is still there. So, you know, like it's always going to feel kind of awkward if you don't kill a scout. I don't know that's going to matter because the region is so little at this point in feudal that, like, you know, this could die anyway. Because no offense to Otter, but he's not a pro. So, you know, these to lose track, but we'll see. But taking a downhill hit is not great. And we're going to feudal age. We may actually lose the scout for Hydur, which would be unfortunate. It's really important to scout on hybrid maps. Okay, we do lose the scout. Well, that's not great for us. Going to gold now. Actually, triple mule cart, but we didn't have to build the first one, so. Only 2 fish. We're actually, okay, it's actually kind of nice. Like, you see how Otter is collecting with the villagers because they collect shorefish just fine. It's the fishing ships that kind of suffer from collecting shorefish instead of deep fish. And we're actually collecting from the oysters for Hydur, and then we're collecting from the gold mine. So this might be like a man-at-arms rush, but or maybe just, you know, we want the gold for our navy. We don't want to build a mining camp. Maybe partly because it's like, now it's very awkward to build one, but also we just want to save some wood. We'll see. We're into feudal age and we go into double bit axe, but no fire yet, which I'm kind of surprised by. Otter walling up nicely. I think we'd like to see maybe some walls to the edge here. If you wall like this, it's gonna hurt. I'm kind of curious what the vision is. Let's see. So yeah, well, we should have seen, yeah, we've seen this, so we should really wall like this. We'll see how that plays out. Okay, yeah, so we're just going into fire, so we just took a little bit of gold for taking fires. We can avoid the mining camp. That makes sense, because we want to get our stable up. Now, our food eco is kind of tragic, actually, for both players. Oh, a nice demo. I'm not sure. Well, I guess it is still worth because it's like if Hydur takes back the water, you don't really want to have to build more fishing ships than you need to, right? Okay, we're adding in the farms. We need to see some farms from Otter in the near future, but we don't even have a mill, I don't think. We have our floating wood, so we definitely need to build a mill pretty soon. We should be able to afford another fire galley and a mill. And okay, well, we can't fight this off without repairing. And we need a mill. Okay, we have a range up. This actually could be quite dangerous because Hydur is walling up but doesn't have any military really. Just has this scout. Again, where's our mill? Okay, there's the mill. Alright, okay. But you can see how, like, we are currently 0 on food for Otter. So we're gonna idle the TC for a bit, which is, I would say, unideal, especially versus Persians. Persians with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 farms already. About to be 8. So really need to find an opening here for Otter, or we're gonna be super behind. A couple of archers out. Wonder if we'll wait for fletching. Really good at this? Oh, thanks, Tech. Fish was slow anyway, yeah. I think the fish is almost better here for the gold, more than anything else. It is still like, I think it's still usually worth the shorefish just because it's extra food that you get, and food is really tight early on before you have a farming eco. So it's probably worth it, but it's not like great. But we are seeing some walling up from Hydur, and we might actually be fully walled before the archers even get here. They don't have fletching yet, right? So they're not a huge threat to the walls or the villagers. But neither are these scouts, because there's only 2 of them. And we could probably just make a spear or 2 if we wanted to. Yeah, actually, so you see how the villager count, I think a lot of this is just idle TC time. We didn't have the farms out for Otter, so it's 27 to 32. Part of that is also the Persians, of course. Faster working TC. And yep, we run into walls. But we are walled up too for Otter. Nice walls here. Oh, I spoke too soon. Always a hole on these hills. That's why you always gotta drag palisade to make sure you cover any holes there. Also, the walls are not complete yet on this side. We're actually just gonna box these up with our villagers. We're gonna lose one though. We don't have a spear out, which is unfortunate because we thought we were walled, so we thought we didn't need it. So this is a very awkward start, much smoother for Hydur after this one housing situation. Now we make a range for ourselves. I wonder if that's... might just be for a few skirms. I don't think we want to be too aggressive. We probably just want to go into Castle Age. So actually, this is like another nice feature of the taking the water here, is it does actually give you some nice map control. As I was mentioning earlier when we were looking at the map, right? When you are looking in Castle Age to expand, right? You might build a TC like here, maybe like here, but then on the rest of the map, it's kind of awkward, right? But it's quite nice to build TCs here, actually, right? It can sort of defend you, give you some vision, give you a nice positioning, get some res. You just don't have that same access if you don't have access to the water. Although, you know, that being said, right, Otter can also just make a single monk. And, you know, Hydur doesn't want to invest too much, so a single monk could make a big difference. Nice pick for Hydur here on the edge. And yeah, these scouts are just going to be a real pain. One of them is pretty low HP, but can still be an issue. This is the problem with we're not still fully walled. Spear coming in. And yeah, we probably have to fight that. We might lose another Vil. Pulls away the spear as well. Yeah, it's looking another rough game for Otter. You see how quickly things spiral in this game. It's also like these houses are really inconvenient and it's sort of a waste of wood. We don't need it. Like, we'd rather spend our wood on like a market or something. And Hydur's probably aiming to get up in the near future, I would say. A lot of farms here. 16 farms. Market coming up now. I think this should finally be... yeah, and this is like another thing. Otter really would want some more forward walls here. Because you don't want enemy scouts coming in the back here. But now I think we are actually walled. Well, not yet. I mean, there's this gap. But we will actually be walled very soon. Oh yeah, it's a playoff 5. Sorry, I thought I mentioned that. Oh, sorry, did Nightbot give you trouble? Sorry, it's like really strict there. But yeah, this is a playoff 5, so this is game 2. We're gonna see 3 more games after this. Castle Age is coming in for Hydur here. And... oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, actually... ah, I see, okay. So, Otter actually sold the stone to click up. It's like, you know, actually a little bit faster, which is kind of crazy. But I like this play because Otter can tell that he is far behind. So he needs to do something kind of all in and sell the stone. He can't build TCs. He's just going to go for some kind of cav rush. Of course, that can be stopped by a few monks, a few camels, but you know, I like the idea here. And you can have like an okay economy for the Georgians if you have a fortified monastery to buff your work speed on your villagers. But you'd rather have it forward at this point, I think. But Hydra's done a nice job of keeping the military active, keeping it around the enemy's base so that we always have vision on the opponent's situation.
Yes.
So there really hasn't been space for a forward villager to come forward for Otter here. Alright, Cookie Pirate. Welcome. We're into game number 2 here. Hydur took the first game. It looks quite good for Hydur, but the Castle Age timing is pretty even. So I think Otter's going to go for some kind of all-in because he sold his stone. Actually bought some stone again. Okay, so he's going to go for a second TC here. We'll see how that plays out. I think Hydur's probably just want to boom. Oh, interesting. Okay, we actually expand up here. So we could do this because we know that, like, we've been keeping good vision on everything. We know there's nothing here to stop this. And we do wall back up behind that, so that's good. The knights come forward, so we have bloodlines and +1 armor, so if Hydur spots that, we know that he's going to commit to some level of aggression, because... or some level of knight aggression anyway. Because otherwise you wouldn't want to get those upgrades. Fortified church for improving our worker rate. Yeah, this is another thing of this... the earlier situation, like these houses are such a pain. But I like the mule cart there is finishing the wall. So nice coming forward. But we also have bloodlines and now second armor and forging in already for Hydurs. You can see how, like, especially as the Persians, we just had such a big lead already for Hydur that we have more military and they're actually stronger because they have better upgrades. And now we get some camels out. But we'll see what Otter can do. We're going to start knocking down the gate here. Just a palisade gate, so you really need a stone gate. Oh, yeah, that's not going to work out for you. But we do have a monastery up. We can get a monk out. And things are pretty compact here for Otter. There shouldn't be too much damage that Hydur can find, but we'll see. And where do those knights go? I'm not sure where those knights went, actually. They must have died. I must have missed that. So this is a decently sized army for Hydur, and we have the upgrades, so they can dive quite a bit. But we don't want to go too crazy. If we end up with some conversions, take a lot of damage, we lose this army, Otter could go for some kind of push. We're going onto stone, so we might be thinking about a castle drop at some point. Monastery coming up for the Persian player. Penguins are here to observe. A random low HP scout here planted just to keep some nice vision. Okay, we're going to add a third TC now. Just 2 TCs for Hydur, but as the Persians, you don't necessarily need to add another TC. Like, your 2 TCs worked pretty well, and especially with this lead, I'm expecting, yeah, so we have a pretty big villager lead as well, so we don't really need to add another one. At some point we will want to, just to expand. Okay, yeah, so this is where the knights are. But unfortunately, we attacked us at the same time that Hydur goes forward here. We do get a conversion on a camel, which is nice, but again, you can see only +1 armor for Otter. And we have forging and +2 armor for Hydur already. And we're floating a lot of wood. We'd like to have more farms. Our villas aren't working. We need to wall this back up, actually. But at least we can garrison villas in the fortified monastery. Yeah, you can see how nasty having +2 armor on these units is. Let's look at the stone count. The stone count is still climbing, but not that high. There is, like, actually an opening here. If we got some knights in here, Otter could find some damage, but the big problem is that Hydur is keeping Otter active. It's really hard to think about in a situation like this, but what we really need is, like, a counterattack. Like, you know, find an opening here, maybe you somehow get a castle over here. Because if we just answer this and clean this up, we're still behind. So what Otter really needs is to find some damage. But Hydur's gonna continue the walls. 2 monks out. But on our army. And because Hydur has a better eco, he can afford to just send it forward. It's 54 to 77 villagers. Making some more monks. We will have actually 5 monks. But it's kind of awkward now. Georgians do get halberdier, so they could actually go for that direction. It's not as good offensively, but you know, if we think that we're just not getting anywhere with our cav units, you could try and make something happen. And Hydur's just sending in more units. The eco behind is looking great. Let's take a look at the res. Okay, so we're still spending. We're not thinking about imp anytime soon. We actually have very little stone, only 1 on stone, so we can't get a village stone there. We're gonna build a castle here. Hydur may try and snipe this, I wonder. We're gonna go forward. Uh-oh. Yeah, send the light cav in first. Kill the monks. This castle might not even go up, or if it does, we're actually gonna take a lot of damage. See, I think the thing is here, it feels really bad. I think Otter needs to place this castle like here. It's like very YOLO, and you know, odds are that you probably lose it. But this is like a play to not die, right? But you want to play like, what is a possible way of me getting back in the game? It's something kind of crazy and low percentage chance, but if it does work, it would be great. But unfortunately, we actually get the castle denied. We have so much army for Hydur here. Can't even finish the castle now. Things are looking grim. Yeah, we have an expansion here. You can see how, like, it's actually really awkward to expand on this map. You have to find a really nice, like, nook. Actually, Otter's space is not like that bad though, but it's just kind of awkward to expand on because of all the elevation. Yeah, castle doesn't look like it's gonna go up. Hydur played it really well by sending the light cav forward to snipe the monks, and then they weren't able to get any conversions in. And actually, we're almost gonna finish off all the gold here. This is a nice bit of gold you can get just from the water alone. Oh, the castle does actually go up. I missed that. Sorry, I looked away. I didn't think it was gonna go up. But the thing is, we lost so much just getting that up that I'm not sure what we can do. I mean, again, like the biggest thing Otter really needs is some kind of counter damage. We could try and find like a few Monaspa here, maybe. Hydur is like investing a lot into military. We're gonna break through these palisades pretty quickly. But this is good, you know, like, from Hydur, you need to make sure you never take your foot off the gas, right? Because the way you're gonna lose this game is by you kind of just, like, be a little too patient and you give Otter time to get the economy back in and match yours. But it's, like, pretty far, or actually another TC from Hydur. Okay, so we're not even like, we're not thinking about imp at all. The thing about that though is that this castle will stop us from I mean, we could keep sending in knights, right? But if we keep blindly sending in knights without killing the castle, we will eventually like we could run into a situation where we somehow we've lost too much, but we'll see. I think we're gonna get a castle pretty soon. And then might go up to imp not far after that for Hydur. Attacking some farms, very nice. We were housed for a really long time there, but Hydur was doing so many other things nice. I didn't want to be rude about that. And we're attacking some farms. Okay, these farms are going down real quick. Getting some relics now as well. A couple of knights coming around the side. Yeah, this is kind of what we needed, but I think we needed it a lot sooner. Like, Otter kind of needed to send in the knights before these walls were up, and then you could find some real damage. Yeah, now they're kind of stuck there on the tree stump. We have 122 villagers, and we're going up to Imperial Age. And we're actually stonewalling behind this. Okay, yeah, now we're gonna castle forward. A little late for that, to be honest. Because we want this to be up by the time we hit Imp, but should still be fine. The villager lead is massive for Hydur. We do have full upgrades on our knights, at least, for Castle Age. But I think it's gonna need a miracle for Otter to pull this one back. Going forward for the stone. And this is another thing that the water control gives you. There is like just some neutral res here in the middle. And it also it gives you this ability to plant a castle here, right? Or like, it could be Siege Workshop earlier in the Castle Age. We're actually getting Commander on, so we're gonna go for only wood costing crossbow. Because that's like the only way that Otter deals with this army at this point is by going for pikes. So crossbow would be our answer to that. We're actually not really floating a lot of wood though, so that might kind of lead to a bottleneck, but it can work out. Treb is going to come out pretty soon. I actually have a castle on the hill over here. Now the castles are cheaper to repair on... Is it cheaper to repair? Actually, I can check on this. Building repairs cost less. Yeah. And then... Yeah, so units in building receive less damage when located on a higher elevation. So that's like a bonus on the already bonus you get from being uphill. That's right, the knights didn't have full upgrades, but now they're getting the second attack. Oh really? I must have looked at the wrong... maybe that was a converted knight actually, now that I think about it. Now Hydur can send in units, can just send in a bunch of Hussar to raid. And this castle will slowly go down. We don't have the stone either to repair, and that game is over for that one. So, nicely played from Hydur there. I think what it looked like, you know, it's kind of tricky against the Persians, right? They just have a really nice, smooth running eco, especially with taking the water control. There was sort of I think the demo was a bit of a mistake, it seemed like to me, because even though it did kill the fishing ships, it didn't kill the fires, which is what we really need to deal with. But maybe we also had a villager repair. But the bigger thing I saw was the eco early wasn't running as smoothly for Otter because we didn't have a mill up. And so like we didn't get to the farms nearly as quickly as our opponent did. $21 Showmatch, yes. That's right. I put up my winnings for this past season. I would say Hydur looks like he's the preferred player, but I think Otter needs to play a little more aggressively to make something happen. But you know, I give them credit as well. Like these are maps that they've never played before, so I expect them to be quite difficult and challenging. So, you know, credit to both players for agreeing to this at all. I'll give me a moment, folks. I gotta check something real quick here. Alright, let me see. This is unfortunate. I might have to step out and cast rest of these games later, which would be unfortunate, but I can still do it. I was having a lot of difficulties casting the games live. I'll go ahead and try and see if I can get into the next one. But let's take a look here. So I think they're playing already. We'll see if I can get into it. Oh, that's the wrong thing. What am I doing? I always do this. Find a custom game. So, I was having difficulties before. Let's see. But let's see. You know what? I'll give it a try just because maybe it'll work magically this time. No, it's giving me the same error. So, I don't know why that's happening. Can I open it? So there's something wrong with the map loading. It's not like downloading it properly. When I checked the folder, it like just didn't work. But maybe for some reason it'll work last time. But yeah, the maps like load up, but then, or like it loads up the script for me, but then it like the file is empty, so it doesn't work. As for why that is the case, I honestly could not tell you. But the next map we're looking at is glaciers. So I can at least pull up the glaciers script here. Let me take a look at glaciers here. I gotta find the script first. I think this is made by, was this made by Zetnus? Or was this made by Tech? Oh no, this was made by Tech, wasn't it? Hold on a second, let me pull this up. No, okay, that's wrong. I think this one's made by Tech. Let me pull this up. Jerry. 8 people watching. Whoa. I wonder, it could be because Otter actually broadcast his, or not broadcast, sorry, that's the wrong word. He promoted it on his server that he was playing this match. Could be related to that, I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at this map. So, Team Glaciers, yeah, I know, it would be a shame if I had to head out. There's a lot of unfortunate scheduled things working out for me, but we'll get into that. I would like to at least cast this third game if I can. I will still cast the other 2 games, but it just might have to be later today. But I want to at least show you folks glaciers here. And I just gotta pull up the map. That's the wrong thing. Sorry, folks. I should have known. Like, usually when I cast, it actually, there's not that many issues. Maybe capture rate crashes once, but I should have known that, like, the one time I cast for an event, something's gonna go wrong. I should have known. That's just always how it goes, you know? Tech, do you know who made Team Glaciers? Was that Zetnus? No, it was someone else, right? I couldn't remember. I can't remember the name of them. Let's see here. Oh, it was Rapture, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. Sorry for the delay, folks. That's the wrong thing. My bad. Sorry, I had all the maps nicely prepared somewhere, and then I cleared it out because, okay, I got the map now. I cleared it out because it was causing issues, or I thought it was causing issues with spectating, but it didn't work. So, it didn't help me anyway, so that was very inconvenient. So, let's take a look here. ESR Glaciers. Here we go. Okay, so this map features, we got this sort of 3 sections of land here in the middle. So I think it's like, oh, actually interesting. So it can be kind of differently, but one way or another we'll have like water and bits of ice separating the players. So this is kind of it's an interesting looking map. Kind of, it looks quite different and distinct from most maps I've seen. I don't think I've seen a setup like this. And I think each island has, so there's one with stone. Yeah, one with stone, one with gold, or sorry, two with gold, one with stone. Each one also has a relic as well. So this is interesting because, of course, the water is important, and your navy is a big deal for taking control, as you'd expect. But the main thing you'll note is there's no fish. So it's an interesting situation where and also you can see how you can't cross between the ice. So probably what I'd expect is later in the game you might want to get a dock up and make some navy to secure the region. But you don't want to go too crazy because you don't get like an eco boost. So the main benefit of taking water control is you get map control, right? And another thing is that unless you transport across the sides here, right, you have to cross through the middle to get to your opponent. So I'm expecting kind of play towards quite a bit of military here to get map control. You kind of see this on a lot of the maps. A lot of them prioritize getting a lot of military out. It's kind of difficult to play towards a more macro-focused situation, I would say, for most of the maps. Even the one enclosed map we have, I'd probably expect a little bit more aggression than you might hope to do on a closed map. And you see this one's it's a little warmer in this climate. Things have thawed out a little bit. And it's this nice like kind of like cerulean green color to the water. I like all the nice like rocks and little features here, and the way the water sort of pools around. And okay, yeah, so we do have still boars and deer, and berries and gold. It's not like it's not a crazy amount, but I'd say it's a decent amount. So you probably don't need to get to this res early, but it's like you want to prioritize it because if you get to it late and your opponent takes control, it could be really hard to take control back, especially if they manage to get a castle up, and then that's like the main way to get through. But you could, there's some potential for like a sneak, get a sneak transport across, or even just, your opponent's army is here, you send some villagers or a few knights or something on the side, you could make something happen. Kind of similar to what I was talking about when I was looking at seasons, where there was the crossing, but it sort of, you have potential for sending something forward if you think you're going to lose the water. I'm gonna double check. I think they're still playing the game. All right, let me check for something. But yeah, it's unfortunate. It always happens to me. I should really just plan more time ahead. But I was hoping this wouldn't run as late as it has. Part of that is just the technical difficulties I had. And this was sort of a spur of the moment thing. I mentioned to Tech I wanted to donate my winnings. And he suggested that we use the money for a show match, which I thought was a good idea. But I wasn't like planning around it. So, but I wanted to make it happen. So we got Hydur and Otter together for today, and at least they were able to play the games. And if nothing else, I'll cast the Rex later. Also interesting, you can see there's actually 3 boars on this map. See, so 1, 2, 3 there. And you do get a cluster of deer as well. And the relics, it looks like they tend to spawn towards the back. They're also the relics here in the center. So the relics are, of course, important for gold, but because this is a standard tournament, they can also be important for a relic victory. It's usually it doesn't happen that often, right? Especially in this case where you can plan around it, and you can, pretty safely secure like a couple. But you could be sneaky if you are aggressive enough, and you keep your opponent occupied. You could make sure that they, you snag it underneath their nose. But that's always something you have to be aware of in a standard game setting. And I would expect, let's go ahead and take a look at the civs again, actually, since we're waiting and we know the map. So the civs, if you to remind everyone, so we just saw Georgians beat, oh sorry, other way around. Persians beat out the Georgians. So if we consider this map, so Otter, if you mentioned Otter picked it, is the loser's pick, so he picked this map. I'm thinking maybe Armenians could be nice here. You could go for a fast castle approach, potentially. I think it's probably a little dangerous, but because you're kind of further away, you have 3 boars. You could do that. Could also just be Lithuanians, though, to be fair. You could play towards, military approach and then secure the relics. Could be nice. I'm not sure what Hydur has in mind, though. Out of all of these civs, none of these in particular make me think that they're especially good on this map. I mean, I think any of these could be decent. Japanese tend to be nice for hybrid maps because of their discounted resource gathering buildings. Saving wood is always going to be good on a hybrid map. And that is always nice for you. But as I mentioned, there's not any fish on this map. So it's not as good as it would be on a different map, like Kawasan, for example. And also, their fishing ships work faster. So, I'm not sure. You could do a man-at-arms rush, though. There could be some potential for, an aggressive rush. Again, I'm not sure about Otter. Maybe Lithuanians, Armenians. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I really don't know what Hyder would pick, though. I mean, could be any of these, to be honest. Portuguese could also be okay, right? They tend to be pretty flexible. The extra wood from the berries is a nice bonus. And I need to get some more water. I should have gotten more when last time I grabbed some. So just give me a second, folks. I'm going to grab some more water real quick. All right, I made it back. Yeah, it could be Portuguese. You could definitely play towards a more late game situation on a map like this. Don't go too crazy on the military. Just secure yourself a nice castle time, and then macro for the TCs, and just play for a more economic approach. I could see that, and then you add in the navy later. There could be potential in that, I think. All right, let me see here. I'm trying one last thing. See if I can watch the game live. I have one last idea. I think it's still gonna throw an error for me, but you never know. It's super weird. I've never run into that before, but I guess I haven't. I don't think I've cast an Alchemy League game before, so I don't think I've cast a custom game like this. This must be the case, and because of that, I haven't had to deal with these unfortunate issues. But let me try something here. Alright, let's see if this works. No, that's look like that's just gonna, yeah. It's just gonna throw me an error repeatedly. See, I don't know what, I guess this is kind of why it's just nicer to cast from Rex in general, because you can more easily deal with random problems that happen. But if it's not the case, I'll go ahead and take a look at another one of the maps. And we'll just wait until they're done. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Okay. Figured I'd try. You never know if for some reason it starts working. So, took a look at glaciers, and now we're going to, let's see, what else can we look at? So we've looked at glaciers, we looked at prairie, we've looked at seasons. Oh, you know what? Let's take a look at moat. I think it was moats, I guess it was called. So moats, it is an interesting looking map. You start on something of a, like a little fortress, you could call it. Like a little fort on some water, surrounded by the moat in question. And let me make sure I actually change my thing so you can see. So we're taking a look at moats. ESR moats. Moats. So this is the moat in question. You can see how you have you start with walls. You actually start with double walls, which is nice. So, you know, in other kind of closed maps, you could sometimes go for a tower rush, right? Build a tower, use villagers to bash down the walls. I think that's like probably very not viable in this case for a couple reasons. One, probably the main thing is that you can't actually, like, the only place you could really break through is the gates. You can't access the actual area otherwise, right? Like these walls, you don't really want to have to go through 2 layers of walls, and having this kind of choke point, you know, your opponent could easily wall behind this or repair it, etc. So it's not really an option. However, when you look at the resources that we have here in your starting section, it's like, you know, got gold, got stone, have some pigs, have some forage, have your boar, but there's like no wood. So if you're gonna go for wood, you pretty much have to go for one of these clumps on the outside. And also, of course, all of the other neutral res is on the outside. So you are going to be pushed towards expanding outwards. And because of that, you pretty much have to, I think your first lumber camp probably has to be outside, which feels kind of rough, but you know, you build a lumber camp here, wall around it, and probably play towards, you might play towards some feudal army, actually, which you don't usually see in a sort of closed map like this. All right, I'm giving it a few more moments. Unfortunately, I am going to have to... It really sucks. I will have to close and come back if they're not, like, done in the near future, which is inconvenient. But, sorry, folks. That's kind of like a lot of events just sort of happened all at once, which is very unfortunate. But then, yeah, this is looks like kind of an interesting map. I think looking at the civs, probably it'll be like maybe Hindustanis or Bohemians versus maybe Malay. Could be. I think this has probably a bit of a different meta from other closed maps, though, right? The fact that you actually have no... Well, it's not that you have no, but you have some secure wood, but very little, means that you kind of have to go outside. Now, you could just build a tower, right? So you could just say, okay, I'm going to build a lumber camp here, I'm going to tower, but I'm still going to mostly fast castle. But then when you get to castle age, you kind of have nothing. And if your opponent, say, has like archers or has scouts roaming around, you have no military to actually stop that. So it should be interesting to see. Now, I don't know, maybe if you're a mule cart civ, you can get away with not building a lumber camp outside, especially as Georgians, for example. Like, it's not super efficient because you still have to, like, you have like 5 trees here, right? And then you go to this patch, then you go to this patch, then you go to this patch. So it's not ideal, but you could maybe make that work and it could be all right. It's sort of maybe a little bit safer than having to go out here. But, you know, sometimes, yeah, I mean, there are some cases here, for example, you could lumber camp here and wall up. Similar here, right? So you could maybe get a lumber camp on the edge. This is an okay wall up, right? I'll be curious to see. So scouting is going to be super important on a map like this. Actually, it's pretty close to the edge. That's interesting. So yeah, it's quite hilly as well. So it does kind of remind me of hill forts, but you don't have a base on the hill, of course. But it's still quite defended. I don't expect a big siege push. Well, sorry. The only way I expect to see breaking through the walls is like a castle drop or a siege push, right? And even then, you probably don't want to commit that much. You're probably better off expanding and just taking more res on the outside. Yeah, this is a really interesting one. I think I'm actually kind of curious what the original looks like compared to this one, because I feel like this looks quite different. Yeah, do I actually even have it? I think I need to change. I don't think I have to change it. All right, hold on. So everyone, take a look closely at this map. Just imagine how this looks. I'm gonna go ahead and change over. And this, I'm gonna take a look at the originals, see what they look like. You imagine the original maps are quite old. So we kind of run by very different standards these days, and that's a big reason why we wanted to go for the revised version. So it should be moats. Okay, yeah, it's a completely different map, right? Like, I think it's okay. They did send me the rec here, so nice. Okay. Yeah, so look, this is a completely different map. I think Zetnis's version looks way nicer and much cleaner, much more interesting. This is it's a very strange looking map, I gotta say. Yeah, very, very interesting, very cool. I'll be curious to see how that one plays out. Man, yeah, this really sucks. I'm sorry, folks. I am actually gonna have to head out, I think. It is more primitive, yeah. Well, it's different in the sense that I guess it has the same idea, but the fact that the water is like a single line, it just I guess it looks very different, right? And it's still like you could shoot over with a mangonel or something. But I guess it is a similar idea. But yeah, the new one looks quite nice. So yeah, I apologize to everyone. I'm gonna have to stop here for now. But I'll be back, let's see, in a couple of hours. I'm still going to cast the other 3 games that we have. The record for now is 2 games for Hydur. We have 3 more games to see. Even if Otter loses, he will still get $5. So I hope he has at least that to look forward to if he if he doesn't feel great about how the games have gone. But again, sorry folks, a lot of things just happened all at once. But I will get back to this. I'll let everyone know. But thanks everyone for showing up. And again, I'll be back online later today. But I'll see you in a couple hours.